Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Three Uniques. I'm Brenda, and I'm pleased to introduce you to Lisa Martin. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Brenda. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on. So Lisa and I have known each other for a while, and she's the co-founder of Promote Her. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Lisa.
Well, what do you want to know? I could go on for a long time, but I can I can tell you that professionally, I'm a certified executive leadership coach, and I really enjoy helping others reach their potential. And personally, I am a mom of I can't believe this, 22-year-old already.
Congratulations.
And for my personal pursuits, my recreational pursuits, you can find me on a stand-up paddleboard. I live down near the water. And I'm very fond of a straight up Grey Goose martini with just a slight touch of limoncello.
Yeah. If you follow Lisa on Instagram, or soon to follow Lisa on Instagram, you'll see little highlights, for usually Friday, Saturday night. Sometimes it's a midweek one, then you're like, okay.
Sometimes it might be a Tuesday night, depending on the day.
Sometimes you'll have little options too. You'll be like gin or vodka. And it's like, no, you always gravitate to vodka no matter what the poll says.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about Promote Her. What's that all about?
Yeah, so Promote Her is a program that I co-founded with Jennifer Dean. And the purpose of Promote Her fundamentally is to support organizations to accelerate gender balanced leadership. So what we're trying to do in organizations is to support them to fast track female promotability and enhance the relationship between a woman and her direct leader, because we know, Brenda, that the gatekeeper for promotion is often a person's direct leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so how long ago have you been doing Promote Her? But you've been also working with women, coaching women in organizations for a while, but Promote Her is relatively new.
That's right. Promote Her, I believe we started Promote Her you have a good memory, about 18 months ago. Mm-hmm. And so it's a relatively new project. And you're right, I have been working with women for years. In fact, the very first book I wrote was called Briefcase Moms, and it was all about how to manage a career and a family at the same time without losing, your major body parts in the process. And so I've always been, and that book came out in 2004. So I've always been a big proponent of supporting women in the workplace. And, I would call myself an intersectional feminist. Like, I believe in equality for all. And I do believe when we support women and elevate women, we're able to elevate everyone. So I've always had that as a big why, personally. So when the opportunity came along to look at how can we support women in today's environment, this idea of Promote Her was born. And it was really born out of a sense of frustration, and a sense of frustration having worked in corporate Canada and corporate America, supporting women, to see that some of the data has not changed a lot, particularly in STEM and trade-centric industries. Women are still less than 15% of senior levels in organizations. And I find that really frustrating. And a report came out from the World Economic Forum talking about how long it's still going to take to reach gender equality. And when you do the math and you actually look at it deeply, it's not just 100 years, Brenda. It's going to take more like 257 years. So that really made me upset. And so Jen and I were having a chat actually in her kitchen about this, and we're super frustrated. We said, well, what can we do? Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many initiatives out there supporting women, and they're fantastic. And there are some gains being made, even though it feels like there's not, but they're incremental gains. So what could we do that would be different and also leverage our skill set? And this is where we narrowed in and said, what is the one thing we could do that we feel would have the biggest impact? And we really looked at it and said, to increase female promotability. So the question was, how are we going to increase female promotability? And from there, Promote Her was born. So that's the origin story of where that came from.
Lovely. I mean, you must be also fascinated with all the stats that are coming out, even as a result of COVID and the economic downturn and people quitting their jobs, parents deciding, okay, are you going to quit? Am I going to quit because we have to work from home and our kids are at home? But the stats are staggering. They started coming out in September last year in 2020, 450,000 people quitting their job because of childcare. But of that 450,000, this was coming out of the US, I think, something like 75% of it was women. And then women of color was even greater within that percentage pool. And then more stats are coming out in December, equally or even higher out of the US. And then I'm hearing 1 in 3 Canadian women are quitting their job to stay home.
Yeah, that's through the Canadian Prosperity Project, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that study came from. And so what's the answer to that scenario? And it's a very, very complex answer. On one side, there's all kinds of structural things that could support that,
Mm-hmm.
to make that change. Structural changes within organizations, within our government infrastructure and support systems that might be available to people. And then there's on the personal side, what are the things that you can be doing to support that? We could talk for days about,
Right.
what could be done to do that and what is being done. And again, that's where we thought, where can we really focus
Mm-hmm.
and support women in that regard? And in particular for women in organizations who have the desire to move forward in an organization, right? How can we support them to do that in a way that is structured and focused yet simple, right? And that's really what we've been able to do. So Promote Her itself is a 90-day virtually led program, and interestingly enough, we created it as a virtually led program prior to COVID because Jen and I both have a lot of experience in delivering leadership programs virtually and really believe in the accessibility of it. And it enables an organization to add people from wherever and really maintains and keeps your costs down, right? And so that was our thinking right from the beginning. And then of course, COVID came along and we've seen this huge shift to virtual learning and the benefits of it.
That's awesome. That's great. I'm so glad that you guys are doing this. And yeah, I mean, we'll make sure that we tag Promote Her in the show notes too, so people can know where to find it and learn more about your program. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's really, for me personally, like my big passion or why is helping. I'd like to see every woman have the position, the power, and the pay that she wants, whatever that means to her. And there's not one size fits all in this. It's really internally, what is it that you want? And then where is the support that you need to go get it? Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're here today to share your 3 uniques with us.
Yes.
So how about them? Let's hear them.
Okay. So they are curiosity, coaching, and communication.
3 C's.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So let's hear about the first one.
So curiosity. I think curiosity is the, how would I say it? The underpinning or the anchor for the other two. So I am a highly curious person. And so I'm interested in a lot of things, Brenda. And so that means that I read a lot. I take in a lot of content in various ways. Excuse me. And I'm also very curious about people. I really love people and I want to get to know them. I want to understand how, what makes them tick. I want to be able to support them in whatever way I can, whether they're people that I work with or whether they're my, close friends. And so that's curiosity. So it keeps me, I would say, motivated and interested. And it has enabled me to create and do a lot of things I think I wouldn't have done if I hadn't been as curious. So it's really that core unique that has supported me to move forward in my personal life and in my professional life. Now, as you know, in the work that you do, you know that whatever your strength is or unique is also a shadow. There's also a shadow side to that.
Always.
So the shadow side to my curiosity and why it can get me into trouble, because it can cause me to have sometimes less focus. Because it's like, oh, look at that over there. That looks really interesting. Maybe I'll go explore that over there. Or, oh, wait a minute, there's that too, and that's really interesting. Or I'm going to subscribe to this particular thing because I'm super curious about it. And then before I know it, in my inbox is just filled with stuff, right? And so then I'm overwhelmed with information. So, once a year I have to go in and call and say, okay, delete. Like, I know you're curious, but what inputs are really valuable for you at this point in time? So I have to constantly manage my curiosity, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same way. My big thing is buying books, right? So I'm curious and I'm a big reader and I love to read from different people. But I've had to stop like when people post what books they're reading on Instagram because I'll be like, oh, that looks really interesting. Go to Amazon, order it. And I'm just like, okay, stop. Somewhere in there, like that just has to stop. Because I just end up getting too many books that I can't even read. But now I've like flipped to Audible because I can get through them even faster now, right? I can do like multitasking. I can make dinner while I'm reading a book or listening to a book.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I get the
You've
curiosity.
changed your delivery system. You've changed up your delivery system.
I know. Still curious, still taking on like way too much to read and explore with, but that's cool. And I see that in you because where I think it also shows up in like, you know, in sort of your colleague relationships is like you're very good at asking questions. Or when I've seen you work with clients, like you're really thoughtful, like you're a thoughtful question, I guess is the best way to sort of describe it. But you're really good at, you know, asking those questions and diving deep into things. And so that's where I guess you hone in your curiosity in that work setting. But you do it also in a way that's comfortable for that audience. Like you're not, you know, interrogating them. It's like
Yeah.
you really want to know, and then to be able to help them and provide suggestions, which I think is a great approach.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that comes across. One hopes it does, but you never know till you get some feedback.
Well, there's the feedback. It was great.
Yeah.
So your second unique.
So I think you did a great segue into that. So the second unique is coaching, and I think it's partly due to my level of curiosity that makes me a good coach. And I've been coaching now. I mean, I got my coaching certification, my PCC in 2003, and I started officially coaching people probably in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when it was very new, Brenda. And, you know, you go around and people today would be like, really? You go around and I'd talk to people about the fact that I could do this leadership coaching or executive coaching. And they would look at me and, or I'd say I'm a coach and they would look at me and go, what sport? And, you know, I would start to laugh because if you know me, you know, I'm not like the most athletic person in the world. So I'd be like, seriously? Like, you think I could be a sports coach? And you would have to explain. So back then there was a lot of time spent explaining what it was. It was sort of the frontier, as it were, you know, at the time. But having done it for such a long time now, I think that I've really been able to hone, and that's probably where you notice the questioning part come in. So I think that I naturally, when I talk to people about coaching now and the impact that it's had on my life, it has not only made me a better leader, a better parent, and a better person. And so I don't look at coaching so much now as something that I do, what I do. I think coaching is who I am. It's so ingrained into my own behavior system that I approach pretty much everything with that lens. And I cannot almost, Brenda, help myself. It's just the way that I am. It's how I come at a scenario or a situation, and that's probably what you were noticing, you know, in some of those meetings that we did together. So I see that as a real strength, because what it does is it enables me to understand situations better and faster. Right. It enables me not to go in the wrong direction as often as I might, being overly curious. So it's a balance. Yeah, it's a balance. And it's been very rewarding for me to work with other people and help them get better results. And that's what I enjoy. You know, that's what lights me up. And so I don't think I would have been able to do that or have that experience if I hadn't had the ability to really hone that skill. And I think I have a natural affinity for it. And because I've been coaching for so long, I can also, I would say, I have a talent for spotting whether other people will be good coaches or not. I can tell that pretty quickly based on their demeanor, the way they show up, what questions they ask, how they take in information, what they do and don't say back to other people will often be a very good guide for me to be able to see that.
Right. That's awesome. And then your third unique?
Communication. So I have a skill in communication. I'm an effective writer. I'm an effective speaker. I use my communication skills to create programs and write books and create leadership models, and I'm quick on my feet when it comes to being able to communicate in situations where you might not be prepared. I'll figure out a way very quickly to be prepared. so I think that, so I would say the combination of those 3 C's, curiosity, which is the underpinning for coaching, and communication, and where they all are synergistic is a lot of times, Brenda, when I'm working with clients, when I'm coaching them, guess what the number one thing I'm coaching them on is?
Communication.
Exactly. You know this, right?
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, it's the essential skill for leadership. People talk about, well, I need to be this great leader. I'm like, just work on communication always. Yeah. Manage your conversations, let people manage themselves.
Exactly. So I'm singing to the choir here with you. So you get this at a gut level, and so I think that the ability to be curious, have those coaching skills, and then really be excellent at communication, I can really help people become strong in that. And it's so fascinating and interesting to watch the results of that when you're working with people, when they go from being good at communication to being great at communication.
Yeah, and they can, like you said, see the results of that. See, like a relationship get stronger. See results happen exponentially faster.
Exactly. Trust improves. What should we say? Misunderstandings decrease dramatically.
Yeah.
Those 2 things right there get you much better results. You become more confident in how you project yourself and your thoughts and your ideas. So yeah.
Awesome. And so how do you know when you're living all 3 of those uniques? Like what shows up for you in your thinking, your acting, your speaking, like for yourself personally?
I think my gut response to your question is, I'm a happy camper, Brenda. So when I know it, when I'm feeling good about things, when I'm out of alignment, when it feels like something's not quite right, I may not be being able to be expressive in those areas or being able to use them, and I'll feel frustrated or something, and then I'll know, I need to ask myself, coach myself, okay, Lisa, what's going on here, and then figure out what the misalignment is.
Is there something that you do that really, gets you aligned quickly? So you said coach yourself, like ask yourself those questions yourself that you normally ask your clients. But is there anything else that you do, like sort of in your toolkit, like mindfulness practices, things that like really lift you up?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. And I learned this word from you, actually. We talked about this, I don't remember how long ago it was, but this idea of rituals, right? And so for me to get centered, I have a morning ritual, which I'm happy to tell you about if there's time, but to answer your question specifically, is to get outside. For me, it's being outside and getting into the woods. So I live very close to that. I'm looking out my window here. I can see the woods right there. The ocean is right next to that. And so I get outside, and if I'm even 15 minutes, if I'm outside for 15 minutes, I'll come back. My worldview will be completely changed. If I walk out the door frustrated or anxious, or I can't solve a problem, or whatever it might be on my mind, or I've had a tiff with my husband, because that happens, I will walk outside, and in 15 minutes I'll come back and I'll be a different person, right? I'll be grounded and ready to attack whatever it is, and often solve whatever has been causing me issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer. Get out in nature, and then also just move your body. I mean, we're built to move. Like, we're not supposed to be sedentary creatures. And although sometimes that happens to us through age or illness or accidents, we're still meant to move in some way or some shape, right? Even if it's shifting our back or something. But getting outside, getting oxygen is huge.
Yes, and there's all kinds of research and studies on the health and mental health benefits, physical health and mental health benefits of being outdoors. Yeah.
So now I'm dying to know, what is that one ritual that you do in the morning that's like really important? Make great. If you can't not do it.
It's rather boring, but it works for me. So I wake up. The first thing I do is I open the curtains. and I look outside. So I don't open my phone and look at the weather app. I actually open the curtains and I look outside and I go, oh, okay. And sometimes I'm able to catch a sunrise, which is really, really beautiful. And other times, you know, it's pouring rain and not so nice, but I do get to see it. And then I basically trot myself downstairs to the kitchen, and I make myself a hot lemon water with some turmeric and ginger and lemon in it, and take my vitamins. And then I have a cup of tea and I sit down on the couch and I just am quiet for about, I don't know, sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's 5 minutes. And then off I go. And that's my morning ritual. Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa, what's one thing that you would wish for, say, any woman that's starting their career in 2021? Like maybe coming out of university or making a job shift change right now. What's one thing that you wish for them, or you know, to keep top of mind with their career?
I think that it would be to go inward and do your very best to get a sense of directionally where you want to go. And I know when you're first starting out, sometimes there's so many options, it's hard to know which one to take. And then just do something, like take a step forward, get into action and experiment. This is a time to experiment and see what you really love to do. Sometimes some people know exactly what they want. My son, who's 22, knows and graduating imminently from university, knows exactly what he wants to do. Some of his friends don't. And so I think it's, where are you on the spectrum, and just accept that where you are is where you are, and that you will get to where you want to go, and have faith in yourself.
I think that's even great advice to give to somebody that's further along in their career, any stage in their career, but it's great advice. Thanks so much. And thanks for being on today. I really appreciate you sharing your 3 uniques with everyone. Well, thank you, Brenda. It was, as usual, very enjoyable to have a chat with you. And I know we could keep going, but you've got a podcast you want to keep to time. Yeah, just a short blip, but it just gives everybody like an incentive to get out there and share your 3 uniques. And that's how I always end every podcast, is there's 7.5 billion people on this planet. Somebody needs what you've got. So keep sharing your 3 uniques, everyone. Thanks again, Lisa. Thank you.